to not be recorded. Yep, there we go. If you prefer to not be recorded, you're welcome to turn your camera off. Great. So I think I'm handing over to Hannah to do our intro.
You are, brilliant. Thank you, Hope. Yeah, as Hope said, I'm Hannah. I'm from Mad Youth Organised Campaign. So I'll say a massive thank you for showing up this evening for our protest. And yeah, a protest not just against this deadly bill, but against a government that continues to treat the disabled community as expendable, against a government that continues their attempt to silence us. However, over the last few months, we have loudly and defiantly proven them very, very wrong. And just 5 days ahead of the vote, we are on the cusp of victory. The government are desperately fighting fires within their own party. And as Starmer faces his biggest rebellion to date within the Labour Party from over 120 MPs who have signed an amendment to kill the bill, the government are staring at defeat. How close we are to winning is absolutely testament to the hard work and solidarity of the disabled community across the whole movement and our allies over the past few months. However, to ensure these deadly cuts do not pass, it's critical to keep up the pressure between now and the vote next week. In desperate attempts to quash the opposition to this bill, the government, as you might have seen in the headlines, are looking at concessions to get this bill through. However, we all know that there are no concessions to this bill that will make it acceptable, and it will have devastating impacts regardless. So the next few days and this evening are critical. Every phone call, every email, every conversation really is essential and will have a meaningful impact to stop this bill in its tracks. Through the relentless and collective actions of this community and our allies over the last few months, we've exposed the callous and cruel intent of this Labour government. But more importantly, we've shown that disabled people are woven into the fabric of our society, and we will refuse to be silenced. The proposed cuts to PIP are nothing short of an assault on the dignity and the autonomy of disabled people like us. We have shown this government that when they attack us, they attack everyone. Over the last few months, we've seen the movement take to the streets, disrupt ministers at their talks, fundraising events. We've, been meeting in Parliament with MPs, turned up to our MPs' offices in our local constituencies. And resistance on the street is crucial, but so much of the hard work these last few months has been within our homes, on Zoom calls, in bedrooms like this, in Google Docs, writing endless letters to MPs, and in online protest spaces like the one this evening. It's so important we create spaces for community, connection, and collective action that we can all participate in and are accessible and welcoming for all to take action and support one another through these really difficult times. Perfect. Over to you, Hope.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Hannah, for that intro. So yeah, during the next, it's 50 minutes now. During the next 50 minutes, we have some incredible speakers lined up from our Mad Youth Organised campaign, from Disabled People Against Cuts, from Crips Against Cuts, and the National Survivor User Network, or NSUN, as we call them for short, alongside some really powerful poems and spoken word that speak to our collective fight against these cuts. But of course, we're not just here to talk, guys. We're here to take action together, hence why it's an online protest. So later in the call, we are going to be taking collective action together. We're going to be calling up our MPs' offices to leave voicemails, as well as emailing them, if we can, to demand that they oppose these brutal disability cuts. Don't worry if you've never done anything like that before. We'll run through it with you step by step, and we've got some resources and some scripts to share with you in the chat. So yeah, that's to come a little bit later. But first, let's get the protest properly started. So first up, I'm really delighted to welcome Ellie and Rosie, who are two leaders at Mad Youth Organised, who are going to share poems that they have written. Over the last few months, both Ellie and Rosie have been in Parliament to speak to MPs about the impacts that these cuts will directly have upon them. And Ellie also confronted Health Secretary Wes Streeting face to face back in March, soon after the cuts were announced, as he sought to scapegoat and demonise young people with mental illness. So I'm delighted to hand over to you both, Rosie and Ellie.
Thank you, Hope. My name's Rosie, and and I'm a patient leader with Mad Youth Organise. I was in receipt of PIP up until last month, actually, when I had my reassessment, and despite having no significant changes in my circumstances and still being very much disabled by my complex mental health conditions, I was scored 0 on every category. So I wrote this poem because that's what I do with my emotions, in response to sort of how I feel and how I feel about the cuts in general. So I'm just gonna read that. I stared down at the zeros on the page, heart skipping a beat, air heavy with familiar defeat, and then enraged. You were the ones that put me in a cage, confined under neglectful eyes. That page is full of lies. Yet I'm hardly surprised, for my life has become politicized, and once again the vulnerable are villainized. You call it sick note culture, say we're overdiagnosed, your ableism so freely exposed, while the waiting lists continue to overflow and we are left with nowhere to go. The vultures chose warfare over welfare, so we rally in shared despair. This is our lifeline, and there are no benefits on the breadline. Our lives have meaning, so I hope it's our resistance you are feeling. We are disabled and we are worthy human beings. Thank you.
Wow. Amazing.
Ellie, I'll hand over to you now for some more poetry.
Amazing. Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me all right. That was amazing. Rosie, thank you. I want to take you back to about the 18th of March. I was supposed to have had my PIP assessment 2 weeks before. I'd been out of work for a year. I used to be a youth worker. I loved my job, and I've become really unwell through long COVID. I'm now a PIP recipient, a UC recipient and claimant. And when the Green Paper came out, my anger and my frustration turned to rage. We'd just lost one of our campaigners, Grace, and many of us had attended the funeral 4 weeks before. And there was a real need to turn that rage into action. Much like Rosie, I also need to write out my anger to process my feelings, find it really helpful. And I started writing some slam poetry for Wes Streeting to let him know how I was feeling. And then my friend Hannah popped up and let me know there was an opportunity to go and confront him. So this is the poem that I wrote down just to try and get some stuff off my chest whilst I was feeling it all out. And we were able to go and confront Wes in a really powerful action that hopefully lots of you have watched. If not, you can flick back through our Instagram. I'm gonna have to work through this not shouting.
Ellie, I'm so sorry, just to say, it's a little bit hard to hear you. So if you can maybe just move a little bit closer potentially, just because I want to make sure that everyone hears this poem because it is amazing.
Let me see, I'll take off my AirPods.
How's that for you? Better?
That is brilliant. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Mr. Streeting, folks, Pippa, I don't mean to offend. It's just hard to get an audience with my right honourable friend. And there's a very important matter to which I think he needs to attend. It's about this. It's a list of all our dead friends. It's enraging, Mr. Streeting. I should be at home resting in bed. Long COVID's ruined my life and taken over my head. But a few weeks ago we lost Grace, so now I'm stood here instead, begging yet another health secretary to give a shit about this list of all our dead friends. That's the reality for us, Wes. It's literally life or death. Your policies are pushing the most vulnerable people in this country closer and closer to their last breaths. Now every day we're waking up wondering how this day is going to end, worried sick it's going to be yet another day where we have to add yet another name to this list of all our dead friends. It's a long list, Wes. You should see the near misses, the suffering, the pain, the trauma that will always live with us. Because there's no care, there's no treatment. The only choice you're giving us is to suffer or die, and pray our friends make it through this. If you want to get people back to work, Wes, fund the damn NHS. Stop scapegoating the young, sick, and disabled instead of taxing your rich mates. We see those hands in your pockets, Wes, and that's why we resist. Don't make us write any more names of our friends on this list. There you go.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Thank you both so much. That was really amazing.
Thank you so much. I've yeah, you've really taken me right back to. Sorry, I think I was not on. There we go. Can you hear me now? Yeah, Ellie's brought me right back to confronting Wes Streeting in March. Thank you so much, Rosie and Ellie. That was, yeah, so beautiful and powerful. And yeah, both of you, please go read the chat box because there's just so many, yeah, amazing compliments about your poetry. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing another wonderful Mad Youth Organised leader, Gigi. Gigi led their own action a couple of weeks ago now, calling out the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones, who outrageously compared PIP to pocket money. So, Gigi, when you're ready.
Hi everyone. I can't see myself, so I'm not sure if everyone can hear me and see me.
We can hear you,
Right.
but we cannot
Can you
see
see
you,
it?
but we can hear
Oh,
your
you cannot
voice.
see. Okay, that's weird. Oh, I can see myself now, but no one can see me.
Oh, yes,
Ah.
we can see you now. Great.
Okay, yeah, I can see myself really big now. Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Rosie and Ellie. Super powerful. My name is Gigi. I'm 27 years old, living in Bristol. I have experienced madness of many flavors and in various levels of severity since I was 11, and I've been part of the mental health system, mainstream mental health system, for 16 years now. I joined Mad Youth Organised last year, and I'm so proud to have been one of the founding members of the campaign, and it's so cool to see all the amazing work that all the patient leaders have been doing. So to those of you who are not aware of Mad Youth Organised, we're a campaign group focusing on the youth mental health crisis, and we're organising to build a collective response to the crisis we're facing. We collectively feel that we're done with mental health awareness campaigns that don't go far enough. We want to hold the institutions and executives who profit from our misery to account. We want to start tackling the root cause of the mental health crisis we are seeing. That means campaigning for change in the health system, benefit system, undoing corporate power, and much, much more. As you've seen, Mad Youth Organised has been focusing a lot on the disability cuts over the last few months because we're so aware of how the government's proposed cuts will have a deleterious effect on young people who struggle with mental illness. The benefit system, as it stands, already has a terrible effect on people's mental health. So these cuts are incredibly worrying, to say the least. And we write about it actually in our Mad Youth Manifesto, who, for those of you who haven't read it, I really, really urge you to get a copy, as it outlines our reason of being. So some of the things we've done in the past few months and the actions we've done in regards to the disability cuts. So firstly, we hosted a drop-in for MPs in Parliament with Nadia Whittome to share how these deadly cuts will impact us all, and you can see that in the bottom left. We've also been working collectively to lobby our MPs, and one of our leaders has been working especially hard with her local MP in Wales, Di. I'm not sure if she's here, but really fantastic work there, gathering community solidarity and so much more. We've also been doing some direct actions and confronted various cabinet ministers. I hope you've all seen the really incredibly moving and powerful video on social media of Hannah and Ellie confronting Wes Streeting, which has already been mentioned, the Health Secretary, a couple of months ago. And we also had Hannah, who confronted Liz Kendall, the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. Myself, a couple of weeks ago, I confronted Darren Jones, who's my local MP and the Chief Secretary of the Treasury. And most recently, Wiggy and Hannah confronted the Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Jonathan Reynolds, just a few days ago. And we've also been having various appearances on the media. So we're really proud to have our voice being heard, at least somewhat, and getting our message out there. But why are we doing all of this? Well, we're doing all of this because we're concerned about the impact of these proposed cuts on young people with mental illness and how these cuts may inadvertently be targeting specifically people who experience mental illness. This is because one of the biggest changes that are being proposed are to the scoring system, which looks at the impact of the disability on daily living tasks. And these proposed changes now demands that one scores particularly highly on at least one of these daily living tasks to be eligible for PIP. Now, for many people who experience severe mental distress or just mental distress, they are likely to be affected in many areas of daily living, but moderately across them rather than hitting the higher criteria for one. That means that people as well who might have previously qualified for PIP will not anymore. Mental health issues are often fluctuating in their appearance too, and this is not reflected in how PIP is assessed. Also, the stress of potentially losing the income support so many of us have been receiving is terrifying and enough to potentially trigger a worsening of symptoms due to the psychological distress. We're hearing that up to 1 million people, nearly 1 million people, could be losing their support if these cuts go through. And even for those who are not currently claiming for mental health issues, there is widespread, unsurprising evidence that these cuts could contribute to mental distress, even for people who might not have experienced it before. But the disability community will not be divided. We really believe in cross-movement solidarity within the disabled people movement. We think it's absolutely paramount that we support each other, especially because for so many of us, physical and mental health issues go hand in hand. Many of us experience multiple disabilities. And we strongly believe how crucial it is to be raising each other's voices, which is why I think we're also happy to be here with NSUN and Crips Against Cuts and all the other wonderful disabled people's movements here with us today, mobilising together to get as many people involved as possible, as many voices heard to amplify our collective message. Because at the end of the day, I think we're all fighting for the same thing, a more equitable and fair society where people like us are not punished or penalised, where we are fairly supported to be able to live our lives to the fullest, regardless, not despite of the extent we're able to or unable to be in employment or to contribute to the economy. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gigi. It was really, really great to have you give that political analysis and give also an overview of just some of the amazing work that's been done by yourself and other Mad Youth organised leaders, but of course by the whole disability rights movement. And yeah, completely agree. It's just incredibly powerful to feel like we all have each other's backs in this movement. And I think when the government first announced these plans, they probably were thinking, we'll easily be able to get this through. There won't be that much resistance. We can do what we want. But actually, we have very much proved them wrong. And we've very much given them a fight that I think they completely underestimated and were not prepared for. And yeah, just on a personal note, I just can't say how proud I am to be working alongside people who have confronted four government ministers in the last 6 to 8 weeks over these cuts, face to face. And that's not an easy thing to do at all. So yeah, just big up everyone. It's amazing. Okay, so moving on, I'm now delighted to introduce Kieran from the National Survivor User Network, or NSUN. So they have very generously supported the protest tonight and have co-organised it with us. And their analysis of how the cuts are designed to attack those living with mental illness in particular is a vitally important aspect of this fight. So over to you, Kieran, to speak a bit about that.
Thanks very much, Hope. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's spoken already. We're really, really happy to be here and to be actually speaking and alongside you all. I can now see my face on a massive screen, which is throwing me a bit, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, my name's Kieran from the National Survivor User Network. We're an England-wide network of groups and individuals with lived experience of mental ill health, distress and trauma. We've got a briefing out with Mad Youth Organised that we've been sending to MPs, and I'm just going to really quickly talk you through some of the most important things that we point out in that briefing. So the first one is the fact that, as you said, Hope, the changes that are being put forward here specifically target people who've experienced mental ill health. And the second one is that these changes will obviously create a massive amount of distress, which will then have the effect of putting a massive and unsustainable amount of pressure on the NHS. These are two really important things to be emphasizing, I think. So to start with, the first point about the specific targeting of people who experience mental ill health, you've only got to look as far as the Get Britain Working white paper from November last year, which is the precursor to the Green Paper, to see the government saying mental health conditions are the biggest cause of what they call economic activity among young people with long-term sickness. And they're saying that in the context of this sick note culture that we've already heard about, in the context of successive politicians peddling this really dubious rhetoric about overdiagnosis of mental ill health. And on top of that, there's also a really sinister line that we keep hearing, which is about the idea that work is good for mental health across the board. There's a blanket assumption, which is obviously untrue and really dangerous, that work, yeah, is good for mental health, and you just need to get people experiencing mental health into work, and that will be a good thing. When you look at all of that together, you've got a government that says all of those things and then goes on to massively restrict PIP eligibility criteria such that it's really difficult to get that support if your experience of ill health varies in intensity. If you look at all that together, it becomes very clear that one of the goals of these changes is to specifically target people experiencing mental health and make it difficult for people experiencing mental health to get the kind of support they need. So this is the deliberate nature of that is something we really need to be talking about. And then the second point I wanted to make, as I say, is the one about pressure on the NHS. So far from being the sort of sensible choice that this is being spun as by the government, it's actually something that's going to cause massive amounts of strain on the health service. We know that this is going to push people into poverty. We know, thanks to the New Economics Foundation, that like 340,000 people are going to be pushed into poverty because of this. So you're talking about the equivalent of like almost 4 Wembley stadiums full of people who aren't in poverty now and are going to be as a result of this. And that's without mentioning the like 700,000 people who are already in poverty and will be driven deeper into poverty by this. And we know that poverty is both cause and consequence of distress. So when so many more people are experiencing distress as a result of this, who are we going to expect to deal with the fallout from that? The answer is the NHS and the mental health system. Obviously, we know that this is a system that is not even remotely equipped to provide that kind of support and deal with that kind of pressure. We're talking about a mental health system that pushes people to crisis point, in which people get stuck in a cycle of readmission to hospital because the treatment they're getting is inadequate, to put it mildly, and a system in which there's a shocking inequality of outcomes for racialized people as well. So it's a system that, like I say, is in no way prepared to offer the support to all of these people who will need it after these changes because of the distress that they'll produce. So yeah, just to finish off, I think like it's clearly not the sensible and necessary decision that this is being framed as by the government. What it is completely unnecessary. It's violent, and it's a political choice. So you know, we know that we're probably going to be offered some concessions next week, but the only concession that will cut it is an offer to completely overhaul the welfare system in meaningful collaboration with disabled people and their organisations. And that's what we're going to push for. And until they can offer us that, they won't be getting rid of us. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, Kieran. And especially thank you to you guys at NSUN for putting together that briefing. It's incredibly like harrowing, but also really powerful. And thank you so much. As we get closer to defeating this bill, it's really important to reflect and recognise all the different kinds of incredible organising that has got us to this point. We are joined here tonight by representatives from 2 groups who have led so much of that organising across the movement. We've got Disabled People Against Cuts and Crips Against Cuts too. Almost as soon as the cuts were announced, they were organising actions and rallies across the country. In addition, they've also shown real leadership in refusing to let this government divide us and pit disabled people against each other. So first, I'm going to welcome Fiona from DPAC.
Hi, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. We are at DPAC are very big fans of the work that you've been doing. I think the direct action that you've been taking is really inspiring and exactly what we need to be seeing. It needs to give people hope. I could talk forever, but I'll try and keep my comments at least somewhat brief. I work with Disabled People Against Cuts, and I have done on and off since it was set up in 2010. But most of us in the organising groups have been doing this work a fair bit longer. We've seen government after government choose to target disabled people with ideological and lethal cuts and systems. Most of us remember the last Labour government and who was involved, and they never faced any accountability or consequences for what they created. So we were there for the creation of what Kieran was just talking about, which is termed work as a health outcome. I could go into the history of that, but essentially the issue is that there are these dog whistles that were used back then, hand up, not hand out, so help must go to the people most in need, work will make you free. And so we expected this government to be terrible, but none of us expected it to go this far and this fast. It has taken us all by surprise. For a lot of us, as you all know, as the beautiful poetry at the beginning referred to, a significant portion of disability activism is keeping each other alive. It has been the work that we have been doing for all this. Sorry, my cats are in the background. It's been the core work is helping each other not die, and this is so central to what we do that it has to challenge some of the methods that we undertake, and it means that we have to be really careful with how we talk about some things. And it's why it's so important that there are different groups doing different things. It's why we have to have we have this one large movement, and that's wonderful, but within that we need to have multiplicity of methods. We need to have people doing, like Deepak tends to have a history of taking legal actions. They organized the submissions to the UN to get the government judged under the UNCRPD. There's also a history of direct action, helping people with the coroner's reports, all of these kind of things. But all of this is in service of keeping each other alive. When you're I adored the poetry at the beginning. I hope you'll indulge me or forgive me. I will put a video of one of mine in the chat afterwards that's titled "What to Do When Your Government is Trying to Kill You." And the answer is we work together. We all do. We have so many different groups, and it's really important that we don't undermine each other, and it's really important that we show up for each other and support each other. By doing that, then that means that hopefully we can keep everything covered, and that will give us the chance to not allow ourselves to be divided, because that is the main thing that that's the main weapon that the government uses, is trying to get us to sacrifice certain parts of our community for others, whether it's young people or old people or people who are considered disposable, whether it's people who have substance use disorders, whether it's any of the people who are considered antisocial. These are all people who belong in our movement, who are members of our community and who deserve our support. And it is vital that we do not allow things like the concessions that they're going to try to give us. We cannot allow them to do that. We cannot allow them to say that it is okay if we sacrifice some parts of our community as long as we're protecting others. That can't be how we fix this. So in terms of what we want to see, we really want to see people contacting their MPs. There's lots of other things that we need to do right now, but the immediate need is pressure on MPs, and it has to be pressure very specifically and personally. They need to know that their big fear is that their careers will be over if they vote against the cuts. The whips are doing everything that they can to tell them that their careers will be over. So we need to make them understand that it's not just their careers that will be over. Their ability to go outside in public and not be challenged is going to be over. We need to make them understand that this is personal, and that if they do this, if they vote for or abstain on this, they need to know that we will make it our mission to get them deselected. we will make it our mission that every time they are mentioned in the local papers, it is as scourge of disabled people. It is, we need them to know that it's not just that we won't vote for Labour, it's that we will try and get them to pay for their choices. And to do that is going to take quite an amount of work, and that's why things like this are so important, because it's work that can be done from home. It's work that can be done by people with lots of different tools. I know I've spoken too long, sorry, I've just seen the time. Right, I will stop there, but thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much, Fiona. And yeah, thank you for coming along to talk to us, but also for all your hard work alongside Deepak. Yeah, it's incredible. Next we have Tio from Crips Against Cuts. So yeah, I'll pass over to you.
Hi, I'm Tio. Yeah, I help organise with Bristol Crips, which is a branch of Crips Against Cuts, which started in Bristol response to the welfare cuts bill that we've been talking about. But it kicked off and went national. But I'm also a mad young person who wouldn't be here if it weren't Mad Pride. And that's how I found myself in Bristol Crips, because I thought that identifying with the word Crips cut through all the fog of whether we should call ourselves this or that, or whether this person was a Crip, or whether they were disabled, or whatever it was. And it was just unifying us all together. And I'm just here to thank everyone for even thinking about what's going on, whether you are being directly affected by this when it comes into play, or whether you're just hearing about it on the news, whether you know it or not. It's terrifying, because this isn't just your disabled friend or your grandparent, it's your future self. We are all either pre-disabled or disabled, whether you get sad for a few months or you get the flu and you don't have enough sick pay, whatever it is, we can all end up in a situation where we are unviable, equitably inviable. And things like Mad Youth and Deepak and everything are so important, and we wanted to find a way to approach it in a exponentially progressive way. And so we've set out to mobilize everyone and anyone, whether you're a rough sleeper or just a local queer that's listening to politics. We wanted you to be able to bring ideas to the table and actualize them without anybody saying that that's a good idea or that you're okay to do that, because the people with experience and the people with legal information are valuable, but so are the people in the crowd. And that's such a big asset of so many resistance groups. And we really just want everyone to feel like they can grow this energy they have within themselves to take the power back, because I think that's what we're all realizing, is that the people with the talking stick are never going to just give it over after violently keeping it from us for years and years and years, especially when they have no reason to. And I think we're all just showing them that they really do have a reason to, because we're going to take it otherwise, and that looks a lot worse for them. Yeah, I think that's time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teo. It's so great to have you. And yeah, just again, what an honor it is to be a part of this movement and to fight alongside you and Crips Against Cuts and Deepak and NSUN and so many other disability rights groups who aren't on the call tonight. So yeah, just thank you everyone for all that you do. And now it's action time, everyone. So, you know, this is a protest. We didn't just come here to talk, as I mentioned at the start. So with just 5 days to go until MPs will vote on this bill or a version of this bill, whatever it's going to look like, every phone call and email is vital to maintain the pressure on MPs to vote against it. So for the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to take action together by, if you can, phoning your MP's constituency office to leave them a voicemail, and then, if you have time, to send a follow-up email calling on them to vote against the second reading of the bill on Tuesday. In light of the headlines about the government looking at concessions to get the bill through, we particularly want to stress to MPs that there are no concessions to this bill that will make it acceptable to the disabled community. And there is nothing more important that they can do for disabled people and their disabled constituents than to vote against it in full. So we have written a phone script for guidance, which I think Diarmuid is going to be posting in the chat now, hopefully. Or do you need me to do it, Dim? Oh, yeah, great. Sorry, just 'cause you're sharing slides as well. Perfect. So we have this calling guide. So basically, you can follow the link in the chat, and there's kind of, it takes you through step by step. So just briefly, the first step is, if you're not aware, identifying who your local MP is. I'm sure probably most people on this call do know that, and finding their contact details. So yeah, there's a link in the guide to where you can kind of access, details of like phone numbers of constituency offices online. All MPs will have a parliamentary office phone number, which will be displayed, but some will also have a constituency office number. You can leave your message on either or both, but if you're only going to call once, make sure to prioritise the constituency office. MPs will often tell you we can only respond to our own constituents, so please make sure you confirm that you are a constituent on the phone call. We have suggested two different scripts, slightly different scripts, depending on whether your MP has committed to vote against the cuts or not. And you can find out your MP's position by using our database, and the link to that is also in the call script. There is one script for if your MP is unclear or supportive of the cuts, and another for if your MP is opposed. So yeah, we do recommend kind of slightly tailoring your messages. Feel free to use these scripts as guidance, obviously adapt them as you wish. If you feel comfortable explaining how these cuts will impact you directly or someone that you love, then that is like extremely powerful, and we'd encourage you to include that in your message. When you have left the voicemail to your MP, message in the chat box with your name and who your MP is, and how it went. If you gave any particularly killer lines or things that you focused on, then please do share that, because it would be great to hear from you. And after you've called your MP, if you still have time left, you can follow up with an email. There is a template for that, and the link should also be going into the chat as well, hopefully. I can see there's lots of activity in the chat. Maybe if you could just, Diarmuid, repost the links a few times, that would be good. And yeah, I know that there's like various discussion going on in the chat about, if people have already signed the amendment. I think just tailor your message to what you know about your MP. I think, unfortunately, even if people have signed the amendment, it doesn't mean many of them will probably row back on that, and still vote in favour of this bill that has like concessions, whatever it's going to look like. So I think the really key message is that nothing about this bill is acceptable, and you cannot kind of just tinker around the edges to make it acceptable. And so nothing less than voting against it is acceptable for disabled constituents. So let's get calling. As I said, the links are in the chat. We'll keep the slide up on the screen, which has Diarmuid, sorry, could you go to the slide before that has this, that's specific to the calling? No, not that one. This one, okay. Great. Yeah, so if you follow those steps, let us know how it goes. We'll keep the call quiet, but we'll keep it open, so that no one gets distracted. Good luck with your calls. Message us in the chat once you've done it. And yeah, Fiona, I can see you've got a hand.
Sorry, I did just want to say about whether or not people have signed the amendment. It's even more important that you do contact them. They need to know that the concessions are foil and that it isn't enough. You need to tell them that.
100%. Yeah, thank you, Fiona. And yeah, Hazel, and then we'll get cracking. Oh wait, you might not be able to. Can you unmute now, Hazel?
I can. Thank you, Hope. Yeah, I just wanted to point out if people feel comfortable ad-libbing on the phone calls as well. Just that a lot of the concessions that are being offered relate to the PIP cuts, and nothing substantial is being offered in terms of the universal credit. So I think the MPs are quite likely to reply, "We understand the concerns with the PIP, and there's been amendments that now mean it's less harmful there." So if people do feel comfortable on those phone calls, also really highlighting that the universal credit cuts are also going to be incredibly harmful, and none of the concessions so far have addressed that. I think the headline statistic was that there's currently 1.8 million people in the limited capacity for work-related activity group that'll be scrapped. There's only going to be 200,000 people who become eligible for the new serious conditions criteria. So kind of 1.6 million disabled people, ostensibly the most vulnerable in their kind of language, who are still going to be affected by this. So if you do feel comfortable, I realize there's not time to add that to the script, but if you feel comfortable talking about universal credit cuts as well, encouraging you to do that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we'll put everyone on mute now and we'll do our calls, and we'll keep monitoring the chat and resharing the links. So good luck, everybody. Let us know how you get on. I'm going to make my call now as well. Okay. Looks like there's been some amazing activity. Sorry if I'm disrupting anyone's phone call. It's 5-2, so we're gonna wrap this bit up. So if people could finish taking their actions if you can now, don't worry. There'll still be time after the call to do your actions. So yeah, final kind of like 30 seconds. And thank you so much. It's so amazing to see all these messages in the chat. Okay, and yes, someone has made a suggestion that we should save the chat and use it to track who was called, which we absolutely will do. Let's make sure to do that. Diarmuid, you're on recording duty. Okay, we're going to crack on. We might run literally a few minutes over past 9, but I do hope that you stay to the end because we've just got a couple more really important contributions to make and some little bits about next steps. So thank you so much, everyone who took action. It's so awesome to be doing this in an online space all at the same time. I hope you found the guide helpful. And yeah, we'll definitely save the chat, and we're going to be emailing out these resources and other stuff tomorrow as well to everyone on our list. So let me just look at what we're moving on to next. I've got too many tabs open. Oh yeah, Hannah, you're next. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, that was great. It's so nice to see everyone putting it in the chat. I know I found it almost easier like leaving a voicemail, knowing that everyone else was sort of doing it at the same time. So yeah, that felt really good. Yeah, and it's just such a crucial moment with just 5 days until the vote next week. If you didn't get the chance tonight, then please do follow up with the email. As Hope said, we'll be sending that again, but it will be in the chat if you want to maybe save it for when this call is done. And also ring again tomorrow. I think, yeah, with my coffee in the morning, I'll leave another voicemail or try and get through to Sean Berry. Yeah, and ask friends and family to do the same. We really do need as many MPs to hear from us as possible in these last few days. So as Hope said, we're coming to the end of the hour. We probably will, it's 2 minutes to, but we'll run over slightly. But before we talk about what you can do next and close up, we have time for a couple more poems from leaders in Mad Youth Organise. So I'm going to hand over to Wiggy and Aziza.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you everyone for coming today. I'm Wiggy. I've only recently joined Mad Youth Organise, but I'm really honoured to be part of such an incredible campaign and alongside such inspiring people. I have bipolar and a variety of other complex mental health issues, but I'm actually not in receipt of PIP. I applied at the end of August 2024. We're now looking at June 2025, and I'm awaiting my tribunal, which I've been told could take months to arrange. And honestly, the entire process I feel has only worsened my mental health. So tonight I'm going to read you a piece that I've called Ode to PIP, which I wrote after receiving my mandatory reconsideration. My rage is untended too. Noxious ragweed living in my arms, itching and vicious mucus, moth-eaten pits in my membranes. This body in need of regular bloodletting. On the paper, mandatory reconsideration. On the paper, 12 zeros. On the paper, at this time, I cannot award you PIP. This body humming like central heating. This body made of chronic lethargy and aching pelvis. This body sick-sided and flipped on the long edge. I must drag this body to a tribunal. After I got your letter, I say to the man on the phone, I wanted to die. He is deadpan. His face looks, I imagine, like a lick of magnolia paint. You are tactless, I say, and I am hurt. This is hurting me. This is hurting me. I swing up, back down. I sit in the bath and cry and laugh and wash my hair in blood. I lay with my cheek on the bath mat. The lights whirl and whirl. Somewhere, a candle smokes its last breath. On the news, they say they are making PIP harder. but Pip is already so hard. Pip is a cinder block of obstinance. Pip is a voice at the end of the phone, texting me at work, calling me at home, telling me I'm making it all up. I have been waiting since August. Pip has not seen me, not met me, once. In one of my worst nightmares, I am forced to repeat the details of my pain over and over. With each reiteration, the pain bloats, doubling, tripling, until it supersedes me. I become wordless, a wind tunnel, howling and howling. People are losing their lives. People have lost their lives. I can still hear them in the corner of my eyes. Static over the intercom. You have to listen. I am sorry. I am so sorry that I cannot be more, that I cannot give more. Every morning I am hunched over, pushing gnarls of myself back inward, gasping and choking, praying that tomorrow will be different, that I will be able to contribute like they want, to thrive like I want. But what I want is excessive, and what I need is excessive. I am excessive. We are all breathing, human, and excessive. Please do not make me drag this body to a tribunal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wiggy. That was beautiful. Aziza?
Thanks, Wiggy, and thanks, Hope. I think that was so quite beautifully put and captured kind of what quite a lot of us are kind of feeling. But yeah, my name's Aziza. I'm a patient leader as part of the Mad Youth Organise campaign. I have lived experience of madness, and I'm also in receipt of PIP. And yeah, I'm like really grateful to be a part of this movement and this group. And yeah, I'm honoured to like speak amongst such incredible people. But yeah, I've got two poems which kind of speak a bit about kind of Mad Youth Organise and what we kind of stand for. So I'll start off with my first poem. As stars align in the sky, I'm struck by the brightest star in the night, and I see hope. I dream of a future where freedom isn't a struggle, where people are free to grieve the loss of their loved ones without societal pressure, where having a roof over your head is a norm amongst people, where there is no war, a world free of pain, where I can stand in a room full of people and truly feel like I belong. I dream of a future. And as the sun starts to rise and the stars fade away, I succumb to the painful reality of the world we live in today. And my second poem actually features, the last stanzas features in the manifesto, and it's called Tomorrow I'll Elect the Healer. Yesterday I elected the downfall, the one who left people on the streets, the one who watched from a distance as people were persecuted, the one who lives a life of luxury whilst the rest of us live in poverty, the one who gets private healthcare whilst the rest of us watch our loved ones die in an understaffed NHS-run hospital ward. Today, I'll elect the problem solver, the one who will try and get people off the streets, the one who tries to uphold peace treaties, the one from a working class background, the one who tries to fix a broken system as it crumbles. And tomorrow, I'll elect the healer, the one who listens to all our collective stories, the one who will break the system in order to restore it, the one who will walk amongst us, who lives beside us, and fight to change the world hand in hand alongside us. Tomorrow, I'll elect the healer.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Aziza and Wiggy, and also to Ellie and Rosie for sharing your poetry. It's like such an amazingly talented movement we have, and I know that you are not the only poets in the room, and I've seen lots of requests in the chat for like whether we can share the poems, so let's check in about that, because I'd love, if you guys are up for it, we'd love to find a way to like share those poems, because they clearly resonate so strongly beyond, in this virtual room and beyond this room as well. So thank you so much for sharing those really, really beautiful words. And I just wish that every MP who's considering how they're going to vote on Tuesday could hear those poems. And so, Before Hannah is going to close us out tonight, I'm just going to talk through 5 key actions that we've put together that you can take after the call tonight to stop these cuts. And as we know, every conversation, phone call, email, and action matters at this point. We have literally just read the news, so I'm reacting to it in live time, that these concessions have been announced. And it seems like the thrust of it is that basically the government has conceded that for people that currently are in receipt of PIP and universal credit, you will continue getting the same amount and you will not be impacted by the cuts. But they're basically going to implement the cuts for future claimants. So they think that that's going to be enough to divide the disabled community and for people to say, oh yeah, you know, it's fine because, you know, I've got my benefits and so I'm fine. But that is absolutely not what this community is about, and we will not accept that. They're basically consigning future generations of disabled people to poverty, to hardship, to misery, to worsening ill health, and we will not accept that. So now the focus needs to be on making it as clear as possible that this is a totally unacceptable concession, that it is so far from enough, and all of our lobbying needs to really, really focus on that messaging from now on. So we've got these 5 actions. There definitely will be more actions that people can do as well, so feel free to share more in the chat. And we've actually set up a campaign webpage where we've got these 5 actions written out and all the relevant resources you need for them as well. But what we're kind of encouraging everyone to do is, if you haven't done it, and to be honest, even if you have done it, might as well just do it again, because at this point, we need these people to be bombarded. So email your MP, phone your MP, both of which we've been doing tonight. If you can, go to your MP's office. And, you know, tomorrow is, in theory, a constituency day for many MPs. Quite a lot of politicians might be in their constituency. Obviously, it's last minute. Obviously, not everyone can physically go to an office. People might live far away. But if you can, if that's something that might be possible for you, that is probably one of the most powerful ways that you can get your message across. Take to social media, like find out all of the social media platforms that your MP is on, tag them relentlessly, keep asking them to make their stance clear. If it's not clear, keep you know, demanding that they shouldn't give in to the concessions. And also help us to build a picture of all of this information. So we've built a database which is tracking, we're trying to track in live time as much as we can, where every MP stands on the cut. So we've been updating it every day, but there's still quite a lot of gaps. There's still quite a lot of MPs who have remained very silent, like my MP, for example, in Norwich North, who has not said what her stance is and just talks about the fact that she's listening. That's not good enough. So we need to really capture what MPs are saying they stand for, capture what they're saying they're going to do in terms of votes, etc. And we need to hold them to account. And no matter what happens on Tuesday, we will use this information to continue to hold them to account, because more attacks will come on the disabled community and we need to keep fighting them together. So I think, Diarmuid, have you posted the link to the 5 actions page? Sorry, I know you're doing slides and links, which is quite a lot. But yeah, Diarmuid's just going to be sharing the link to the 5 actions page in the chat. If there are other actions that people have, feel free to share them. Maybe we'll make it into 10 actions that people can take if people share other things. But yeah, so those are the 5 things that we're encouraging people to do. We don't have much time, and we know that everyone's already got a lot going on. Everyone's really busy, but this is such an important few days. Like, we literally cannot waste a second. We cannot waste a minute. So yeah, just do all that you can, and knowing that all of us will be doing that together and that we're not doing it in isolation makes it so much more powerful. So yeah, we'll get that link shared in the chat. And to close us off tonight, sorry that we ran a bit over, I'm going to hand back over to Hannah.
Amazing. Thank you, Hope. Yeah, I'll try and wrap it up quickly because I know I've run over, but yeah, just such a huge thank you to you all for joining us this evening, and to our incredible speakers and the poetry that's been shared. It feels so, yeah, for me, so wonderful to come together like as this disabled and mad community at this moment when it feels like, yeah, it's really difficult and you feel scapegoated and like targeted by the government. So for me, it's so lovely to share this space with you this evening. And in light of what Hope just shared, it's more important than ever for us to stay united as a community, despite the government's aims to divide us. And yeah, what an incredible feat of campaigning and organising it has been over the last few months to get to this point. I know that a lot of our leaders have shared the different actions that Mad Youth Organise have been doing. And if you would like to find out more or join us, I think, yeah, there we go. The slide's been put up already. Then yeah, that you can sign up on our webpage. And of course, as Hope said, the action doesn't stop here. There are the 5 actions that you can be taking, and I will be taking right up until the Tuesday vote. And DPAC and Crips Against Cuts have called 2 in-person welfare, not warfare rallies next week against the cuts. The first is on Monday, the 30th of June in Parliament Square at 4:30 p.m. And the next is on the day of the vote itself at Old Palace Yard, Westminster, on Tuesday, the 1st July at 1 p.m. So if you are able to, then do get yourself along to those. It's a final chance for us to show the government that we will not stand for these cuts. So yeah, just a final thank you, and what an absolute joy it's been to share this evening with you and take action with you all. Thank you for our speakers and the beautiful poetry, and you guys for coming along. Maybe we can say goodbyes in the chat and then we'll head off.
Thanks, everyone. We'll definitely be sharing the recording of this call and all the resources and everything on email. So keep an eye out in your inbox, and we'll share on social media as well. We'll share everywhere. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much for joining. Solidarity.